I just want to let you know about these two bills that were recently introduced in the month of January 2019 that put the Federal Reserve and the IRS up in question. In fact, one of the bills will completely eliminate the IRS. The other one is called the Federal Reserve Transparency Act of 2019. Let's go ahead and look at this one first. And of course, as always, what I'll do is I'll link to these pages in the description below. If you're watching on Facebook, check me out on YouTube, The Awareness Revolution. That's my channel, that's my website.com. So you can just go to congress.gov and just type this in and it should show up. But basically this is calling for an audit of the Federal Reserve. This is huge. This is a huge deal. It's leading a lot of people, particularly the people that are following Q and the plan. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Just the letter Q, the plan, and learn about it. Especially if you're a Trump supporter, even if you're not. It might, if you hate Trump, it might help you understand why a lot of the people support him. But regardless of whether or not this has to do with Trump or the plan, it's a good sign. Now, if we can get these bills to pass, it could be a huge change for the better for the United States, and really, a monumental moment in history. It's about more and more waking up. The Federal Reserve is a large part of the problem. They basically control the monetary system, and it's basically an elite group of international bankers that in some ways are above the government. So that's why we've got to audit them, right? It's basically a private corporation. It's a cabal of bankers. They're not all American, and they're somewhat secret. And they're secretive in the way that they operate too. Not just who owns it, but in the way that they operate. They act in many ways above the government, which is why we need an audit, if not just totally abolishing it. If you're unfamiliar with that, I'd be surprised, but look up Ron Paul. He's probably the number one person who has been leading the movement to audit the Fed. So you can just type in "End the Fed," F-E-D. Ron Paul was a book. There's videos online all about it. The Creature from Jekyll Island by Edward Griffin. These are all big works. So this is, you have to understand why the Federal Reserve is really at the crux of the matter, to really understand how big of a deal this is. So if you're into politics and everything like that, this would be a good bill to contact your Congress people, to share this video, so a lot of people can hear about this, because this is, I haven't been seeing people post about it in my newsfeed on Facebook and stuff. So I'm assuming the media is not covering this. And the next bill is the Fair Tax Act of 2019. They had previous bills that were really similar. And, I'm not absolutely thrilled with this bill. Let me preface it by saying that, I guess, or introduce it like that, because it is suggesting we create a sales tax of 23% with adjustments to the rate in subsequent years. So that means the rate could even go higher. I'd like to see that capped. But besides that, there's still good reason to get excited about this bill, and here's why. Because this would completely eliminate the IRS. Just love the way that sounds. Literally, it would. It says, no funding is authorized for the operations of the IRS after FY 2023. So what that means is we won't have an IRS, which is great because tax time is so frustrating. We fear the IRS. You know, a lot of people fear the IRS. You know, we worry about making a mistake and getting audited. Then you have to go through that headache of dealing with that mess. It'd be so much nicer just avoiding that whole thing. Now, ideally, we shouldn't have to increase a tax because most of that money that goes to the IRS right now goes to war and interest on the central banking cartel. You know, just goes to them. Interest on the debt that they create out of thin air. So we really don't need need the federal budget that we have right now. So we don't need to take away one tax and replace it with the other. But let's just say if we paid the same amount, a fair tax would still be better, even though I don't know if I would consider it fair. Anyway, it would still be better because we wouldn't have the IRS. We wouldn't have to keep track of all the income and expenses and everything else. So while this isn't perfect and it's not the ideal, solution, because taxation is theft, and it doesn't address the fact that we don't need to be spending that much money in taxes, it's still a step in the right direction because we do need to get rid of the IRS. We do need to get rid of the Federal Reserve. And it's interesting that both of these bills were introduced on the same day, January 3rd. It's also interesting to note that the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, and so was the IRS. So was the income tax, basically. So the Federal Reserve and the income tax, while most people don't think of them as being related, they both came to us in the same year, and it's introduced that these two bills were introduced on the same day. So while it's not going to get us from point A to point Z, it's going to get us from point A to point B. I believe it is a good stepping stone towards the right direction by getting rid of the Federal Reserve, getting rid of the IRS, and then we can go from there. So if you're going to support any bills or you're going to call your congressman and get politically active, I would say this would be a good thing to promote. This would be a good thing to share. And by the way, give me a thumbs up because that right there will just help me in and of itself. It'll help get the word out, even if you don't want to share it in front of your friends. Maybe you don't want to share my video. Go to my post, again, on the description of my YouTube channel, or find these online and just share the links. You don't have to share my video. But if you do share my video, that'd be great. Because Facebook is censoring me, YouTube is censoring me, and it's hard for me to get my message out, and it's discouraging if the platforms censor me and the people don't share, because then I'm kind of wasting my time. I'm doing these videos, wasting my time. I could be doing other things with my life, and instead I'm doing videos for 17 people to watch. So again, like and subscribe so that way you can check out my future videos. But in the meantime, check out my past videos too. I've got a lot of different videos, so check them out, guys. Let me know what you think about these two bills in the comments below, and hopefully I'll see you guys around.